Hello, welcome to Bumble Stitches. This is a knitting and sewing podcast and my name's Nicola. You can find me on Instagram as Bumble Stitches, on Ravelry as Bumble Stitches. There is a much neglected podcast group on Ravelry too, and obviously here on YouTube. And if you're coming back after what's been quite a while, you're very welcome, and if you are a new viewer, you are very, very welcome to come and join the podcast for the first time. You'll notice that I am in a completely different location than on previous podcasts and vlogs, and that's because I've moved house. So Justin and I moved literally as lockdown started here in the UK at the end of March. Everything had sort of gone through with our purchase of our new property, and it was, I think we were probably one of a handful of people that moved literally in those last couple of days before lockdown was really tightened down. So that was quite interesting to move whilst exercising social distancing, and it's been a very unusual time to say the least, but we're here now in our new home and we love it. So I'm recording at the moment in the conservatory at the back of the house, and it's nice and bright obviously, but I hope the sun doesn't come through too much and interfere with the filming, but it should be okay. It's a really warm day today. I'm filming from Suffolk in the UK, and we're right, if you're not familiar with the area, we're right on the east coast. We're literally about 2 or 3 minutes from the sea where we live here. Maybe not 2 or 3 in the car if I was going quite quickly, but really quite close to the coast. So it's a lovely sunny day, and I've had to open the doors here, so you might get a little bit of ambient noise from the birds. Just up the road there's some chickens and a cockerel, so he quite often makes a little cock-a-doodle. So do forgive any ambient noise, but I think if I was to shut the door I'd probably roast. So with a bit of luck it won't be too much, and you can hear what I'm going to say to you. I am really feeling a little bit nervous today. I've been plucking up the courage to record again for quite a while, and it does feel strange. I've been wanting to do it so badly because I've got so many things to show you, but it was just sort of getting the just plucking up the courage really to come back. And I don't know why it does make you feel nervous to come back to podcasting if you haven't done it for a while, because everyone is so lovely and it's really nothing to worry about, but it's just that feeling, isn't it, of something that you've got out of practice of doing it. And of course I'm sporting some lovely lockdown hair and some lovely lockdown nails, so please forgive those, but we're all in the same boat, aren't we? And it's not really those things that are important, it's just nice to share what you've been up to with all your friends. So I put a little poll on Instagram a few days ago because, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, I've got quite a lot of sewing to show you as well. And I know that not everybody, traditionally this has always been a majority of my podcast has been about knitting, and there still will be knitting, but I have really, really found a love of sewing over the past few months. Both machine sewing and hand sewing, sort of. I've been doing some embroidery and cross stitch and some quilting and things like that. So I wanted just to check how you all felt about combining the two in one video, because I think it might get a little bit long, and I didn't want, I mean obviously you can skip, I'll separate the sections, you can skip if whatever I'm talking about isn't your thing. Or whether it would be best to do 2 completely separate episodes, so that you can just tune in if you want to look at the knitting or if you wanted just to look at the sewing side of things. But the poll was unanimous that people wanted to have everything all together, and I must admit, when I'm watching podcasts, I'm just, whatever people are crafting on, I'm interested in, so it's quite nice just to sit and watch it all. So I will go through my knitted, the knitting part of the podcast first, and then I will clear all that away, get all the sewing things out, and we'll have a look at those at the end of the podcast. So I hope that works for you all. So without further ado, I'm going to start showing you some finished objects on the knitting side and my works in progress. So let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, there's a couple of things that you may have remembered. Now, I don't know if I showed this at all before. This is the Marley shawl by Andrea Mowry. Am I showing you the back side of it? No, I'm showing you the front side of it. And I did knit one of these before, quite a long time ago. It was the first brioche project that I've knitted. And during the period of us moving home, I had to clear away my craft room. And if any of you have had to do that, you'll understand when I say it was completely overwhelming. The vast majority of boxes packed up for the move were all crafting stuff. I was a bit horrified actually, there was so much stuff. And I had to choose what I would leave out, and I just had one tote bag with some projects that I would work on once everything was packed away. So I thought I would do some brioche because it's a nice rhythmic knit, and I enjoyed the Marley shawl, and I do wear my Marley shawl. It's patterned by Andrea Mowry, if you're not familiar. So I did this one, and this is knit in, I've got the bands here. This was some deep stash yarn actually. The multicoloured yarn, I don't know if you can see because it's held with a beige here. If my nails look a bit grubby, I've been doing quite a lot of gardening, so do forgive me. The brighter colour that you can see, the variegated yarn, is a Miss Babs yarn, and it is a 4-ply fingering, and the colourway is Drunken Watermelon. Now this was actually, I got this in a swap probably about 3-4 years ago, and I lovingly stashed it and thought it was really time to get something knit with it. So that's the variegated yarn. I'm sorry for all the ums and ahs, I am really out of practice. And the sandy colour is a Malabrigo sock, and the colourway I think is Sandbank. I haven't got the other part of the tag, things have got a little bit misplaced as you can imagine. But it was really nice to get this done. It was a simple knit to do when everything else was packed away. I didn't really have to think about it too much. As I said, I find brioche, once you get into the rhythm of it, once you get your sort of setup rows done, I find it really quite rhythmic. So it was nice to get that project done off the needles, and I just blocked it. I didn't lay it out to block, I just blocked it on the washing line with lots of pegs, and it seems to be okay. So obviously far too hot for using this now, but it will be lovely and snuggly when we get to the autumn. And I've got a nice new shawl to wear. As I mentioned, when I was packing the craft room away, one thing that was a bit overwhelming was the amount of stash that I had, not just of yarns, but just of like loads of stuff. And the other thing was the amount of knitwear that I have that I don't really use, and it's a bit of a shame really. I always thought of myself more as a product knitter than a process knitter, but I'm really sort of rethinking that because there's so many things that I've knitted in the past that have just never really been worn, particularly shawls. So I'm trying to be a little bit more selective in what I knit, to make sure it's something that I know I'm going to wear that goes with other items in my wardrobe and I'm really going to love. And it has prompted me to plan a D-stash. Now, I did post about this on Instagram, and I opened up a separate Bumble Stitches D-stash account, and of course this was during the process of packing up the craft room. So once lockdown happened, there was no way I was going to be doing trips to the post office and all that kind of thing. So I'm hoping in a couple of weeks time to get that organised, so I'm going to be de-stashing quite a lot of yarn and other bits and pieces. So, but I'll let you know on Instagram when that happens. But it's made me think very carefully about what I buy. So there's not many acquisitions because I've realised I have an awful lot of yarn to knit through. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of acquisitions on the knitting side of things for the foreseeable, because I'm just trying to work through some of the stash that I've got, and I don't think that's such a bad idea really, because there was quite a lot of boxes. I think out of a total of about 60 cardboard boxes packed up for the house when we moved, I think there were about 30 of those were craft room items. So, but we won't say any more about that. So that's my first finished object that I wanted to share with you. Let's try and put things reasonably tidy. The next, obviously, it was nice and easy to do socks. So I've got a nice, neat little pile of socks here to share with you. I've not put any of these on blockers today. It didn't even occur to me to do that. I am so out of practice with planning a podcast. I've got no show notes. It's all just a bit ad hoc, but better to get it done than not at all. My new motto, in fact, is better done than perfect, which you'll see more of when I show you my sewing section later on. Right, so I'm rambling, aren't I? Let's get on with the showing you some of the socks. I'm just going to see if I can grab a couple of the patterns that I want to share with you as well. Okay, so excuse the rustling. So the first pair I'm going to share are these. And these are the Midnight Dancer socks. And look at this beautiful, frilly, ruffled, feminine. Oh, they're just so pretty. I love them. Can you see it's a really, really frilly top to these socks. It's a pattern by Sari Nordland. And there they are there. And I think they're just such a pretty pattern. That's the details there. It is a paid for pattern. I got it from Ravelry. And I've knit these in, it was a sock set. So you can see, because they're a shorty sock, I used a sock set from my lovely friend Kelly at Lay Family Yarn. And this is, the colourway is Riverside Amble. And it was 50 grams of the speckled and 20 grams of the contrast. And as you can see, because they're shorties, and I've just done the toes and the heels, but there was plenty of yarn, and I thought they were such a pretty colourway to make such a pretty pair of socks. So I will finally be able to put these into the sock drawer. Not that I'll need them for a while, but they'll be ready for the winter. So those were the Midnight Dancer socks. Put those out of the way. Next pair of socks, another shorty pair. And these, I'm going to try and show you the way around so I don't show you. If I'd have put these on blockers, I could have been all fancy, couldn't I? These are the striped shorts, sorry, get it right, the stripy shorts socks. And it's a pattern by Jules of So Sweet Violet. The image here is a little bit dodgy because my printer was running out of ink, but you can get the idea there. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and these are so cute. I went for a nice blue and white, sort of, Jules's were blue and white with a bright pink bobble, but I went for a sort of a natural cream. The blue is, I think it's a dandelion, yes, it's dandelion and dogwood yarn, and it's the Married in Jeans colourway on the perfect sock base. And the pink was just a little scrap of pink that I had in stash. And you knit these as reverse stockinette so that you get the garter stripes on the outside. And they've got Jules's fabulous Go Day heel, which I love. I find it really easy to knit. I used to be such a cuff down sock knitter, but now it's all about the toe up for me. The beanie toe is really nice to work and fits me perfectly. Go Day heel, and of course with these, by the time you've done all your twiddly bits, you're there. You've just got to do your little cuff and you've got your shorty socks. You'll notice on the pattern the little pom-poms, the really super cute pom-poms on the back of the cuff, a bit like the sort of the trainer socks that we used to wear back in the day. And I desperately wanted to do the pom-poms, and they're not the Clover pom-pom makers, they're the ones that Hobbycraft sell that are like the sort of looky-likey ones. And I got the smallest one out to make the pom-pom, and when I made them they looked pathetic. They were this little scraggly little pom-poms that weren't very good. So I went to the next size up and made a couple out of the pink yarn, out of this sort of pink here, to go on the back. And then I made the next size up, and then they were ridiculously too big, and it was a bit like Goldilocks of the three bears. I couldn't find a happy medium, so I was stressing about it and thought, have a word with yourself, Nicola. You don't need to be stressing about pom-pom on socks. Just finish the socks. As I said, done is better than perfect sometimes. So I just finished them without, and I love them anyway. I think they're really, really cute socks, and I can see me making more of these because I am more of a shorty sock person, sort of with, you know, like Converse and stuff like that, than I am a long sock person. So that is another FO, another pair of socks to go in the bulging hand knitted socks drawer, which I need to sort out as well. So much sorting out to do, so many jobs to do. Okay, next pair of socks. It's another pattern from Jules, one that I have knitted many times, and I make no apology for knitting it many times because I love it. And this is the Soul Sisters socks, which you've seen me share before. Now, I don't know if you'd seen the Scrappy Socks challenge that was being run on Instagram by, I can't remember the girl's name, lady, girl. I always think everyone's girl because I think they're all younger than me. Exterminate, I think it might be Amy. She was running the Scrappy Socks challenge on Instagram, and the first quarter of the year, sort of January to March, was colour, and it was very dreary and wet, wasn't it? The first part of the year, certainly here in the UK, was just like grey and wet and not very nice. So I wanted all the colours, so I raided the brightest scraps that I could find in my stash and knitted these up. They don't match, they're sort of, what's the term? They're sisters, not twins, but you can see it's the same yarns but just in different places and some sections bigger than others, just to accommodate what I had available. But I love doing these, and if you haven't knit this pattern before and you are put off knitting scrappy socks because of sewing in the ends, and I am like a broken record, I've said this all before, Jules has a really good tutorial for weaving in the ends and as you go with these, so it really is no extra effort to get such beautiful pairs of scrappy socks. So those really did brighten things up. I was quite keen to carry on with the challenge, and I think the second quarter's challenge for the scrappy socks was nature, I think, and I've got some yarn already in a project bag ready to go, but I didn't quite get round to doing them. The knitting mojo is it's wavered a little bit, but I was pleased to get these done, and I might go back and do some more scrappy socks a little bit later in the year. It's got quite a lot of minis. So is that 3 pairs of socks I've showed you now? So we'll pop those down. Okay, and the final pair of socks is this, another pair. These are just vanilla, but I have done, it's difficult to see with the dark yarn, I have done the Go Day heel and the beanie toe. So I basically followed the Soul Sisters pattern, knit them toe up, but instead of doing all the lace pattern and the sort of scrappy sort of stripes, I just used the remnants, the last little scraps of a fade kit that I had from Pixie Yarns, and I used the bulk of that yarn to knit my boho blush that I shared a few podcasts back. So it starts off with obviously the lighter section here, and then it gradually blends in more and more grey, and then it's a bit of a stark contrast here. This is just some Mr. B's yarn I had left in, I think it's called Stone Wash, this colourway, but it's what I used in the boho blush shawl. So it really did use up every piece of yarn that I had left over from that project. So I got the shawl and these socks from that yarn. So I was quite pleased with that. I was, you know, feeling quite frugal and quite accomplished and pleased with myself for actually using up all the yarn. So just a little vanilla pair there. And that's all the sock knitting that I got done. Another project that I had in my tote bag ready for when the craft room was all packed away was the Snuggle Down cowl, again by Jules. I think that's 3 of Jules' patterns I've shared today. She knows I love everything she does. So I knit myself a Snuggle Down cowl, and if you know the pattern, you'll be able to see straight away that I did it wrong. instead of having an extra sort of pattern repeat here, I did it a bit wrong. But once I'd started it and I was on, there was no way I was ripping back. I had so much going on at that point in time, I just thought I'm going to carry on knitting and it will be absolutely fine. You can see on the pattern here, sort of like extra sort of 2 pattern repeats here and then 1 and so on, but you can see I've done it a little bit. I've got a little bit wrong, but I'm not going to worry about it. But again, such a nice relaxing knit. That's all I could take on board mentally, was just nice round and round relaxing knitting. And I've done this in it's La Bien-Aimée, and the colourways that I've used are, if I can find the tags, I've held onto these tags for ages ready to do this. The Merino Singles is Autumn Rhinebeck. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. And that's the 100% Merino Single. And the Mohair Silk is in the colourway Parchment. So I don't know if the camera's picking that up properly. And they're both from La Bien-Aimée. And I've had them in stash for ages and ages. I was going to knit a hat with it, but I thought they'd make such a gorgeous snuggle down cowl. And now that I've knit this and finished it and blocked it, I think it's lovely, and I think I might, much later on in the year, I might make a couple of these for gifts, because sometimes you can't beat a cowl for just sitting where you want it to sit. If it's really cold and chilly, there's no way I'm putting this on now because I will absolutely roast. But the way that it just sort of kind of ruffles down on itself, it's just like the coziest thing ever. So those are my knitting whips. It feels really good. I feel like I've, you know, offloaded and shared those things finally with you that I've had for such a long time, just sitting out, not packed away, because I wanted to make sure I shared them so they can all be put away safely now and clear the decks for some other projects. I'll show you some of the whips that I'm working on as well at the moment. And I cast, living in this lovely elderflower stitches bag from Susie, I have a bit of an abandoned whip, if I'm honest, and I think I might frog it. I've fallen out of love with it. It's the Starflake shawl by Stephen West. I'm trying to find the picture on the pattern. Did I even print the picture? I may not have done. You might be familiar with it as a pattern anyway. Sorry, I'm just ruffling through. There's a tiny section there that you might see. And you've probably seen it on Ravelry and on Instagram. And I think it was a mystery knit along when it was first launched. And I waited because I wasn't really sure. That should have been the clue, really, that it was, maybe it wasn't for me. I waited until it had been completely finished and was released as a complete pattern, and then I bought it. So I've done the star in the middle. It's a bit crumpled up on the needles. So you start with the star and then you work your way out. These are just some sort of garter and stocking stitch stripes. And then I was just embarking on the brioche section, and then I kind of fell out of love with it. I love the yarns. The yarns that I'm using are both from Stranded Dye Works. I don't know if I've got the tags in here. I don't think I do, but this is definitely the Shiner colourway. And it's just a sock weight yarn. And this one I can't remember the name of. If anyone desperately needs to know, leave a comment and I can find out for you. So I love the yarns. I bought these yarns at Unravel 2 years ago to knit the Timely cardigan by Libby Johnson. Never got round to it and thought I'd use them for this. And yeah, I think I probably will frog it. I've got no, you know when a project just doesn't call to you, you've got no inclination to pick it up, and it's just kind of taunting me now sitting in this bag. So I think I may as well frog it. I mean, it will be a shame because when you work these star sections here, you work each one as a separate piece, so there's going to be lots of little sort of scraps of yarn, but they can always be magic knotted and worked into something else. So, but it's a shame, but I just think if I did plough on with it, I'm not really feeling it, so I wouldn't enjoy it. and I don't think I'd wear it anyway at the end, so I may as well just admit defeat and frog it and start fresh. So that's that whip. It's a shame, isn't it, when you start a project, you're so excited and you get everything sorted out, and then, you know, not everything's for everyone, is it? And just because you loved somebody else's version of it and got excited to knit it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. But it would be nice to have the bag back in circulation, because I love this lovely bucket bag from Susie. So that's one whip down. Oh, I've got another finished object that I didn't share with you. It was living in this lovely little drawstring bag from Danny of Little Bobbins, and this is a dishcloth. Now, I don't really knit dishcloths. I can see why people do, and that they're lovely and hand knitted, and I can totally get it. But I always thought to myself, why would I sit and knit a dishcloth when I could be knitting something else? I don't know, it's just not really been my bag. But I saw this pattern on, I think I saw it on Instagram or on Ravelry, I can't remember. The 1900 house, and it's basically a house-shaped dishcloth. And because we were buying a house and everything was housey, oh, I'm going to knit that. So I did. I knitted it from the sugar and cream cotton yarn. I think this is an Aran weight, this one. It's not a fingering weight, that's for sure, and probably thicker than DK. But it's just a cotton dishcloth yarn. You've all seen this, I'm sure. And I knitted a house-shaped dishcloth, which is very cute. But I can't see me sitting knitting hundreds of dishcloths. I will use it now that I've shared it. It's just been sat in the project bag. I've not blocked it or anything. I didn't see why would I block a dishcloth. But it is cute, and if I literally had nothing else that I needed to be working on, I guess I would. But I've got it out of my system now. I've knit a house-shaped dishcloth, and there it is. But it is a cute pattern, and if that's your thing, then it is a really cute pattern. I did knit quite a few of the Jules' Wondrous dishcloths back at the end of last year. I knitted them for gifts as more as washcloths, and that was really enjoyable. But just, I don't know, I think once you put your time and love into something, then just to sort of like be wiping down the kitchen, and I don't know, maybe the jury's out on dishcloths for me. But another little finished object that I wanted to share with you. I'm really rambly today, aren't I? And I'm really warm in this conservatory. But we will get this done, because I'm determined we'll get this done today. So what am I actually working on at the moment? I have only two works in progress. And I've got this one in my big lovely yellow May bag. I love this bag. It's got a really nice sturdy zip, and it's really roomy. And in here I've got a garment. And this is a free pattern, which you've probably all seen. I've been planning to knit this for ages, and I did share my plans with you all. It's Le Pouf, the cardigan version. When I decided to knit this was the only version, but I think there's since been a sweater released as well. And it's by Beta Jezek. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She's the dyer behind Hedgehog Fibres, and it's a really quite a basic top-down cardie, but it uses marling of fingering weight yarns, so two yarns held together to create that lovely faded effect. So I hope I look like that when I finish knitting it. I don't think I will somehow. So I have started it. I haven't done a huge amount of progress. As I said, the knitting mojo hasn't been strong, but I've done a little bit. It's knitting up really nicely. It's difficult for the light showing through. So I've just started. You can see where the shoulders are and the front. So this is the top of the cardie, and we're just literally up there. So I've got quite a bit more to go before I separate for the sleeves. The yarns that I'm using are all, well, they're not all Olam. That's the main colourway that I'm using there. It's getting a little bit blown out. And I'm going to fade into the sleeves with, this is an Olan and this is a Mr. B's. Now I'm going to try and tell you the colourways if I can find the bands. So the Mr. B's, which is this one, gorgeous colour, I bought this at Flock, is in their Hiddleston 4-ply and it's the tutu colourway. And the other yarns are, can she find the bands? I could have been so much better organised, couldn't I? If I'd have pondered any more on it, I don't think I'd be recording, so I just had to get on with it. So they're from Olan and they're on the Sock Light base, and the dark colour, this one is Gunpowder, and this one, the variegated one, is called Slow Motion. So absolutely gorgeous. And the plan is that I will knit the whole of the body in the Gunpowder in the dark, and then I'm going to do all of the body in that, and then on the sleeves I'm going to go into the colours. And I'm not really sure what way to do it. I'm not sure whether to, obviously the top of the sleeve will be this, I'm not sure whether to go like that and then mould these two together and then these two so I finish on the tutu colourway, or to go that way so that I end up with this at the cuff. So I'd be interested to know what your opinions are on that. I think these colourways are going to mould together really, really nicely, but I don't know if that's going to be too much of a jog when they're mould together. It might just be best to go that way. Let me know what you think, because I'm nowhere near the sleeves yet, so we've got plenty of time to decide. Let's pop that one away. And I've got one last knitting work in progress to show you. Hope you've not fallen asleep yet. Right, my next knitting whip is living in my lovely little felt basket that was made for me as a special gift by Stuart when I went to the Curious Handmade Country House retreat, the last one that I went to. And it's got my name punched on there. It's super cute. And in here I'm knitting the Habitation Throw, which is by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. So you're probably familiar with this pattern. I think, now my memory is not very good at the moment, it seems like such a long time ago. I think this was part of Knit Vent last year, this pattern. But I know that sort of towards the beginning of lockdown, I think Helen released this on some offer, and lots of people have been knitting it. And I was going to do it with my advent calendar that I got from Kelly and Nick of Lay Family Yarn, but I wanted to try and be a bit more neutral with the colours that I'm using for my Habitation Throw, because I've got a very specific area for in mind for it once it's complete, and I didn't want to just sort of knit it in colours that wouldn't necessarily suit that area. So rambling again. So I went through, rummaging through a stash. I'll just show you, I've got very humble beginnings. I literally started this last night, this Habitation Throw. And you can see I've got a tiny, tiny section, just the cast on, a little sort of speckledy neutral, a cream and then a grey. This grey's got a tiny bit of sparkle in it, but that will be fine. And my cute little sheep stitch marker, which I got from Claire of Bird Street UK. And in my little hamper of yarns here, you'll see I've got I've got lots of neutrals. So I've got the rest of the La Biella May that I use for my Snuggle Down Cowl. I've got the silvery one I'm using at the moment. I've got a couple of shades that came in my Lay Family Yarn calendar. A couple of bigger bits of neutrals. So I'm just going to do a really nice sort of neutral palette, and because I'm hoping to, obviously in our new home we have got lots and lots of work to do, lots of decorating and redoing rooms, and in this conservatory area I want to get a nice cream or sort of like beigey sort of cream sofa, And I thought it would be really nice in all those neutrals to have that, because there's no heat. Whilst it's lovely and hot in the summer, there's not actually any heaters as such out here, and in the winter I'm going to get a little heater, and I thought it would be nice to have some cosy throws and blankets out here so I can still enjoy it as a sort of a usable space. So I thought the habitation throw would be a really good thing to do, and I'm really enjoying it. I knew I would, because it's not too challenging for me at the moment, and I think just keep changing, although they're all shades of neutral, just that constant change in colour really keeps my interest. So that's all the whips. Yes, I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've been up to on the knitting side of things. I did mention there aren't a lot of acquisitions. There's literally a couple of little things that I wanted to show you. Back in February, my daughter Lulu went off to Amsterdam for a few days, and she went to Stephen and Penelope, and she said she's not a knitter, she's not a crafter at all really, but she said it was amazing. She said it was such a lovely shop, everything, she just enjoyed looking at everything, and the people were really helpful and really nice, and although she didn't have a clue what she was really looking at, they really helped her out. So she picked me up a few little bits there, and I'll share those with you. She picked me up some little bicycle stitch markers. You can see them in there. They are really, really cute. And I've not used any of this stuff yet. It all got packed away in the move and then was held to one side until I'd shared it with you. A lovely little stitch marker, which is like, it's like a needle gauge sort of fob thing. Not really, it's too big for a stitch marker. Yeah, it's more like a fob. But it's like one of the Amsterdam style houses. Really, really cute. So she got me that. She got me these really cool labels to go in things, and I think they all say, do they all say the same thing? Yeah, this took forever to knit, and then on the back it says hand wash, dry flat. Did I mention it took forever? So really fun. She got me some intriguing stitch markers called floops. It says on the back they're a lock-in stitch marker, dropped stitch fixer, mini stitch holder, cable pin, shawl pin. So they're a bit multitasking, so I'll take them out of the bag. So I don't know if anyone's used these before. As I said, I haven't actually used them yet, but they're these little, they look like tiny little mini circs. I don't know if you can see. So this bit here is flexible, like a little bendy thing, and then it's like a little. So they're going to be really useful, and you know, it's naughty to admit I've kind of forgotten I had some of this stuff because it has been such a long time, but I can put them into circulation now, and I'm sure I'm going to find all sorts of uses for those. She also got me, I'm going to take this out of the wrapper because it will reflect. At the time I was knitting my Marley shawl, so she got me this pin, brioche it up pup, which is really, really cool. She said there were so many things she wanted to buy in Stephen and Penelope, but yes, obviously she didn't dare buy yarn because she didn't really know what to get. So that's some acquisitions that I wanted to share with you. Excuse me, I have an itchy nose. And something that I've been meaning to do for a really long time was back, it must have been December, it might, I literally, I can't remember when it was, and I do apologise. A lovely lady called Marilisa, who is Spool Stories on Instagram, sent me a lovely little notions pouch, which I use all the time. Here's mine here, little zippy notions pouch. I've got one of my little bunny bells from Jules hanging on there, which is a really cool shape because the zip runs all the way along. It sort of, it can open and you can see everything at a glance while you're knitting. And she sent me another one as a giveaway on the podcast, which I have here. I'm just going to put it into its, show it to you at its best. And she sent me this other gorgeous navy floral one as a giveaway on the podcast. So, and it's not just the pouch itself, inside she also makes lovely hand balms, knitters sort of crafters hand balms in these little push-up. It's a lotion bar. It's got a lovely fragrance, so that comes, she makes those as well. She's got an Etsy shop, I believe. I'll just show you her card. So it's Spore Stories, and those are her details there. But if in doubt, just look her up on Instagram under Spore Stories. And I'd like to just do a little fun giveaway on here, because I do feel guilty that it's been, you know, it got packed away, got moved in a box, brought here, and then it's been sitting in my craft room, and I want to make sure that it finds a new home with one of you lovely viewers. So just leave me some sort of comment below, anything you want. There's no sort of question or prompt. Just leave me a comment, and I'll get I'll do a random comment generator YouTube thingy next time and send this off to one of you lovely viewers. So don't forget to leave a comment. Right, I'm going to leave it there for a moment, clear away the knitting stuff, and then I will pop back and share some of my sewing with you. If you're leaving me here, thanks ever so much for joining me again. I hope I've not been too rambly, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing everything, and I hope there's not been too much cockadoodling going on. And I'll see you soon, but I'll be back with sewing if you're going to join me for that. Bye. Welcome back for the sewing section. If you've watched all the way from the beginning, then well done, and if you're just joining in for the sewing section, then welcome. Okay, so I have got quite a few things. Let's just get organised. I've got a few things that I wanted to share with you today. I'll get on with the finished objects first. There's just a couple of things. First is this drop cloth sampler that I completed. I bought this at the Ali Pali Knitting and Stitching Show last year, and had such good fun with this. All the different colours, you can see all the different, it's all marked out. It's just a sampler. But I like the circular format of it. I think I'm being upstaged by the pigeons in the background there. I don't know what they're up to. But yeah, it was nice to just do all the different colours. It's just DMC thread that I had in stash, and all the different stitches. I used a embroidery stitch guide that I bought on Amazon quite cheaply, just to help me out with some of the things I hadn't done before. But it was a really useful way to get familiar with some new stitches and also practice some old ones. I finished off on the back with a piece of wool felt and a little bit of embroidery thread in a contrasting colour. So I was really, really pleased to get that finished. It had been done for quite a while, but to get it all completely finished and in the hoop, ready to hang somewhere, I'm very pleased. It does come as a printed cloth, and it's just a little thing that came. You can see mine's virtually the same as on the image there, drop cloth samplers. The next finished object that I wanted to show you is a cross stitch, and it's a pattern by Lily Violet. I first found her on Instagram. It's a little bit creased there, and you can see it's Mary Poppins with her lovely umbrella and her carpet bag, and the design is actually bigger than the amount that I've stitched. It's got the London sort of skyline, the rooftops here, and the text there. But I didn't do all of that. The reason being that I'd pulled this fabric from stash. I don't even know why I had a stash of some even weave fabric, and it's a bit bigger count than it should be on, and it would have made the design really, really big. So I just kept it as Mary Poppins herself. I don't even think there would have been enough room to get the whole thing on there. And I'm going to use this for something, well, I don't know what I'm going to finish it off as, maybe in a hoop, or maybe as just a little cushion cover or something like that, but I'll see. I'll share with you whatever I make it into. So that was really enjoyable and got me sort of back into cross stitch. I've been watching a lot of floss tube videos and various podcasts with cross stitching and embroidery. Really, really enjoying those, and it's definitely given me the bug to do lots of cross stitching of my own. I've got a few little, oh, it's another little finished object here. Well, again, not fully finished, but just something that I was tinkering with. These next little designs, they're tiny little designs. It's this set called Stitch Cards by Laurie Holt. I think she's, well, I don't think, she's very, very big in quilting and fabrics and things like that. And she's got a range of really cute little cross stitch designs, and these are really, really quick to stitch up. And on her video, she makes these into little, tiny little cute, sort of like pincushion size pillows, and she keeps them all in like a bowl as just as decoration. They look really cute. So I stitched up a few of these. There's a chick there, the tulips, and the little flower basket. And this is just on some sort of like sort of oatmeal rusticy looking Ada. And there's another one on here on the corner of this huge piece of fabric. It's just a little quilt block style. So I'm going to finish those off and make those into those little pillows. I thought they would look really cute. And there's lots of others that she does that are a similar size, the same sort of stitch count. So I might get some more of those because they're a really nice little, you know, if I wasn't sure what to do, it's just really easy to pick one of those up and to finish them quite quickly and feel like you've accomplished something. And I just use some DMC threads that I had in my stash. They're not even the called for colours. It was right literally in the deepest parts of lockdown where I couldn't get hold of anything. So I just sort of like matched up what I thought would be a pretty good match, and they've worked out fine. So it was nice to use something that I actually had. Okay, another, I'm going to sort of, not going to hang around with this section because I'm just conscious of how long the whole podcast is going to end up. The next finished object that I have is a sewing project, and it's this lovely cushion that I'm really chuffed with. I bought this as a kit from the Duxford Quilt Show last autumn from Kim Porter of Worn and Washed Fabrics, and the kit contained all the fabric to make this log cabin cushion top and the fabric for the back just to make an envelope style backing. It's a bit bulgy, as you can see, because the cushion pad is quite squishy, but it's fine. I don't mind the fact I tried to sort of pattern match it. I mean, if it was straight it would match, but the pad is actually quite chunky. I really enjoyed making this. I'd put off doing it for ages because I was a bit intimidated by it. I'd seen the sample of the cushions on her stand at the show and they were so beautiful, so hence I bought a kit. But I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that, it won't look as pretty, and I really sort of procrastinated for ages. But I thought, well, let's just do it, see how it comes out. And I'm really pleased with how it did turn out. It was quite simple to do. You use a foundation piece of fabric and just lay all your strips on and just seam and just cut them as you go. And I did a bit of, it's not actual quilting because the top isn't quilted, but it's just a little bit of hand stitching on the top, which was a bit of a nightmare really. I had the wrong thread and the wrong needle and going through all those seams, and it was quite thick in places. It was really hard on the hands. But I have learned some little tips since, which I'll talk about when I show you the quilt that I'm working on. So that was my little log cabin cushion. I do plan to make another couple of these in different colours for different areas, you know, and I might make one for Mum. Mum liked it, so I might make one for Mum for her bedroom. But it's such an enjoyable make, really, really pretty. I just love that sort of shabby look. I did add a couple of little fabrics of my own that I wanted to put in, but there was certainly enough in the kit to make the cushion. I'll just show you Kim's details. So it's Worn and Washed Fabrics. She's on Instagram. There's another little image there, and she does lots of different colourways of these depending on what fabric she's got, because they're all sort of found fabrics. I don't know where she procures them from, but probably from, you know, charity shops and things like that. But it's really nice because they're soft and they've just got a really nice feel to them, really nice to work with. So those are my finished objects. I've got quite a few things that I'm working on. I'm going to jump back to cross stitch for a while. First thing I'm going to show you is some actual finished objects that I've got. Are these bags that I've been making to keep my cross stitch projects in. I think I shared this one a while ago that I made with some Tilda fabric, and they're all quilted on the back, just sort of quite simply quilted. just with binding round and these vinyl fronts, but it's nice because you can see exactly what project you've got going on in there. I'll start with this one, seeing as I just showed you that, and you can see what I've got going on so far. I'll take it out of the bag so it's not got a glare on it. This is a pattern by Madame Chantilly, and it's called Spring, and you can see it's like a 3-tiered tray with lots of sort of spring related things on there, the bunnies and the sheep and spring bulbs and birds, and really, really pretty. And I'm stitching this on linen. I think I've trained my eyes to be able to see linen a bit better than when I first started to go back to cross stitching. It's a 28 count linen. I don't think I'm quite ready for anything more detailed than that, but it's coming on really, really nicely. They're all DMC threads. I've used the called for threads in the pattern, and I'm looking forward to getting this one complete. Obviously it won't be sort of in use till next spring, but I thought it would look nice perhaps in the hallway in a nice frame, and the plan is to ultimately have 2 or 3 that I could just switch out through the year, just have a little sort of display in my hallway. But it's coming on really nicely and I'm really enjoying stitching on it. It's more of a daytime stitch, this one, because it is on the linen, and I do find it a bit hard on my eyes in the evenings. But it's such a pretty design, and she does the 3-tiered tray design with there's a Christmas one and a Halloween and all sorts of different themes, but all of the same sort of design. So I might even do a couple of the other ones and just switch them out through the year. Next cross stitch project is in this bag. Again, they're all variations on a theme, these bags. Just used up some fabric that I had in my stash. And this is a pattern that was released on the Fat Quarter Shop floss tube channel, and it was released for sort of like for the lockdown time that we're all spending time at home, and it's called Feels Like Home. I hope the shadows aren't interfering too much. So it was released in 4 weekly parts. So there was the bird, then the house, then the text. Oh no, it was 5 weekly parts. Picket fence, which I've just started at the bottom, and then there's a rose motif that goes here, which was the final part. It's all been released now, but I'm just sort of playing catch up. This is on a 25 count Lugana fabric, which is nice and easy to stitch on. It's an even weave. I'm finding that not too challenging on my eyes, and I'm using the called for threads in DMC. There was an option to use Classic Colourworks, the hand dyed or over dyed embroidery flosses, but I opted for the DMC just to keep it a little bit more cost effective until I build my stash up of some of those other beautiful hand dyed threads. And again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. It might become a framed piece, or it might be some sort of pillow, or who knows. We will see when it's done. See how the mood takes me on that one. Next cross stitch work in progress that I have. This is the one that kind of got me back into cross stitch. This is living in a little Christmassy bag with the Christmas candy sweets inside and the little Christmas mice. And this is a design by Country Cottage Needleworks called Glitter Village, and it's a series of 9 small patterns that you can stitch individually, or I've seen it stitched as one big piece, so I thought I'd do the same. So each of these buildings is one pattern, so you can see I've done 4 complete and just started on the 5th out of 9. The sun's sort of shining through, but such pretty little houses, and I just started work on the church in the middle. I like the colour scheme of this, the aquas and pinks and blues and the white. Now I started doing this on the pattern called for 32 count linen, which I bought, and I couldn't even see to do a couple of stitches. So I then tried a 28 count, which I struggled with. As I just mentioned, now I have sort of trained my eyes a bit. So I did it on a 14 count Ada, which still gives you the same size as a 28 count linen. But now I know I can do the linen, part of me is thinking, should I just start the piece again on some linen? But it'd be a shame, wouldn't it, to waste what I've done so far. So I think I probably will just carry on with it, and this will be a single piece sort of in a frame to get out at Christmas time, which I thought would be quite nice. I have already bought all the I've got all the patterns. They just come, as I say, these little individual ones, so you can just dip in and out and choose the ones you want, or do one big piece. And I'm using the actual called for threads for this, which is all the classic Colourworks colours, because they're just so pretty. Yeah, and that's really what kind of got me back into, got me sort of down the rabbit hole for cross stitching, because I saw that piece on the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch with Priscilla and Chelsea. I saw it on their floss tube and loved it, so that's what prompted me to get back into it. So that's got a lot to answer for, that particular project. Final cross stitch piece that I've got to show you today is, I haven't really got very far with it at all, but it's another one of my little handmade bags with the polka dots. I love this fabric, I really, really like it. I might use, I've got some of this fabric left, and I might use it to back those little stitch cards, those little Laurie Holt ones, to make the little tiny little pin cushion size cushions, because I think it would look really nice. But anyway, this is actually another design by Laurie Holt called So She Did. I thought it would be really nice for the sewing room. I've got a little easel that I've got on top of my IKEA units that I switch around sometimes with different things on it, so I might do this piece and put it on there, but it's not going to be yet, because I'll show you the progress, which is not very much at all. All I have managed to do is start on the pin cushion, a little tomato pin cushion there in the centre of the design, so quite a long way to go on that. It's 28 count Monaco, which I'm finding not too bad to stitch on. And I'm using the called for threads in the DMC, and I just like all the organising. I like putting everything on these little rings and all the sort of preparation. I really find that quite enjoyable. A bit like knitting really, getting your project bag ready and your stitch markers and all your bits and pieces. I find that part of the whole process really, really enjoyable. So that's all my cross stitch that I'm working on at the moment. I will show you what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of acquisitions that I've got, and then I'll show you the quilt that I'm working on, and then we'll get this wrapped up for today. I've been interested in doing a bit more proper, when I say proper, I mean not cross stitch embroidery, after doing that drop cloth sampler. And I saw on Instagram, I follow Sarah Edgar of Pretty Fabrics and Trims, and she had this beautiful floral alphabet sampler that's been made up here, as you see, like a little sort of quilted and bound wall hanging, which is so pretty, and there's some lovely examples on Instagram. So this is the pattern, and it actually comes as a printed, I don't know if she's still got them in stock. It went out of stock and then came back into stock. So you get the printed cloth with the embroidery already on it for you, which is really good, because I haven't actually done anything where I've had to transfer the design myself onto the fabric. And it even comes with the backing fabric and batting and some lovely Liberty fabric, enough to bind it with, sort of like as if you're doing like a mini quilt. And the threads, all DMC, sort of put them on the batting, hopefully they'll stay. So you can see really pretty colours, lots of dark greens, soft greens, lots of pinks, and I think that one's like for a bluebell or something. So I'm looking forward to getting that one started. I don't know when it will be, but I am really looking forward to doing that one. That's her contact details. She's on Instagram as Sarah Edgar Pretty Fabrics and Trims. So yeah, I do recommend, if you're not following her, that you follow her if you're interested in embroidery, and she does some patchwork and all sorts of quilting and stuff like that, so really lovely designs. I couldn't resist it. next acquisition is in preparation for a cross stitch, but I'm going to be doing it. Starts in July, and it's a year-long project where one section is released each month. So there's 12 sort of small designs making up a big design. It's another one by Laurie Hull. I'm a little bit obsessed with Laurie Hull at the moment, and these are the Orifloss embroidery threads that I got that are used in the design. I ordered these from Fat Quarter Shop. I love their floss tube channel and their quilting channel. Yeah, and they came really quickly, considering lockdown and all the things that are going on. They came really, really quickly. So I haven't used these embroidery flosses before. I'm just going to show you. They look so pretty. I've only used the DMC and the classic Colourworks, but this is the Orifloss collection, and they're still 6-stranded cotton embroidery floss, but they're on a spool, and I think there's about twice as much as you get on a standard DMC skein. But they look so pretty, and they're on the lovely little wooden spools, which I think they all look really cute in a little bowl, a little dish. You can see where all this is going, can't you, with all the embroidery stuff. So the design doesn't start until July, and I'll need to do a little bit of a change to the first design, because the first one's got the American flag as part of the design and a little beehive. It's really cute, so I'm going to have a little mess around and see if I can just do that with obviously the flag for the UK, the Union Jack. So I'm going to put that on there and see how I get on with that. So that's really exciting, a nice little acquisition there. So what does that leave us? I've been through most of my things apart from my quilt. Now, I showed you there's some following on. As I said, I had a bit of a nightmare with this stitching here, this hand stitching, and I knew that the quilt that I bought another pack from Kim Porter at the Duxford Quilt Show, and this was a quilt pack. It was enough to make a 40-inch squared lap quilt. And you can see it's all these greys, lots of whites, neutrals, beiges, and the sample of this on her stand was really lovely, and it was all hand quilted in these sort of like parallel lines. I don't know if you can see what I've done there. I'll talk about these markings in a minute. So I wanted to replicate that. I didn't want to machine quilt it. I just wanted to get that lovely, because they are the worn and washed fabrics, it just really lends itself well. And I think there's a really nice sort of drape as well. When things are hand quilted, they tend to be really sort of drapey. I bought some fabric for the backing. This is a Moda fabric, and it's Canning Day by Corey Yoder. And it was quite fitting really, because it was Corey Yoder's tutorial that I watched on YouTube to learn a bit more about hand quilting. After the really not enjoyable experience with the cushion, I thought I need to make this easy for myself if I'm going to attempt doing it on a quilt. So I watched some tutorials and learnt quite a bit actually. You always assume that sewing is just sewing, but it turns out it really isn't. I was using completely wrong thread on the cushion, so I've invested in the Orifil. This is the 12 weight, which is recommended by lots of people for hand quilting. Not for piecing, like when you're doing English paper piecing, but for the actual quilting, because it's quite a thick thread. And it transpires that there is actually a right and wrong way to, that thread has actually got a grain to it, and that you need to thread. I'm probably telling you, everyone probably knew this apart from me, but you need to thread your needle from the end here and not from the other end if you cut the thread off, because it has got a grain and it will affect the way it pulls through your fabric. And it's made life so much easier. I've also got these Sashiko needles, which are really quite sharp, but they've got a big enough eye to get that thread through. And I'm using a thimble as well. I had a couple of different types. I'm trying to find the other one. Where is the leather one? I had traditionally been using this little thimble. They're both from Clover. This is like a silicone with a little metal tip, which is quite comfy and I like it, but being silicone and the weather being a bit hot, it does make your finger get a little bit sticky inside there. So I bought one of their little leather ones. but I'm not really quite used to the feel of this yet. It just feels a little bit odd on my finger, so I just need to practice a little bit more, but that makes a really big difference. The next problem that I had was marking the quilt, because obviously I didn't trust myself to hand quilt in straight lines with no markings at all. So I started off with a friction marker, which is these yellow ones here, and I realised after watching, I think it was on Gainer's blog on Tales from Cuckoo Land, that friction markers, yes, they do disappear when you put heat on them, but they can come back at a later date to haunt your project. So I didn't want to carry on with that. I tried a couple of rows marked out with an old water-soluble fabric marker that I had, this blue one, but it had been hanging around in stash for ages and I think it had dried out, so that wasn't an option. So another little bit of research led me to this wonderful little gadget, which again is made by Clover. I don't know if you can see that. And it's called a Hera marker, H-E-R-A. And it's basically, you hold it like this. This end is thinner. You can see that it sort of goes down to a thin point. And you literally draw along the side of your patchwork ruler when you're marking, and it leaves a crease, an indent in your fabric that's clear enough for you to see. And the brilliant thing is no marks, there's nothing to stain the fabric or come back later. Once it's washed, it's gone, and it is enough. I was a bit sceptical when I saw videos about it. I was a bit sceptical. I thought, I don't really think that's going to work, but it really does. And it's changed. It has changed my quilting life. So I'm really pleased with that. And if, yeah, I would recommend it if you're doing something similar and you don't know about these. Probably everybody knows about these except me. But yeah, it's a really simple but brilliant tool to have for your quilting. I think we're done. I think we've done everything, seen everything that I wanted to share with you. So if you have made it through the whole thing from start to finish, and I did have a bit of a long pause between recording the two sections for various technical problems that I was having, but it's been lovely to be back sharing everything with you again, and I'm so glad I did sort of pluck up the courage and come back and share them all with you. So I'll be back to show you some more things, and you'll see how I got on with some of my whips next time. But thanks for stopping by.